Our story begins with the main character waking up with a terrible headache. It was terribly cold in the apartment, and he realized that this damn house was not warming up, even with heating. The boy just sat on his bed and shivered from the cold like a little kitten. Our main character's name is Young Dong-ho. He is 20 years old, and despite the fact that he will soon turn into a piece of ice, he is still happy because today will finally be the day when he graduates from school. Since it's his last day of high school, he definitely can't be late today. So he immediately starts getting ready. He carefully examines the photograph of his family and realizes that he can literally be called a child breadwinner because he was left an orphan. Once upon a time, there was a time when his mother woke him up in the morning and prepared breakfast, and my father was constantly away from home and making important calls for work. A whole year had already passed since our hero's parents passed away, and he needed to somehow cope with various difficulties, which is why he was able to return to high school so late. Young Dong-ho just looks at his reflection and realizes that today, his life as a carefree high school student will finally end and he will enter adulthood. Leaving the apartment, he loudly says that he is leaving home, but realizing that they are not there, he desperately wants them to return and see him already matured. He once again says goodbye to his parents and sadly leaves the apartment because now he, as an adult, has to find his own path. Our boy had already arrived on the school grounds and realized that he was already late. He needed to start hurrying to be on time for the first lesson. Suddenly, some lady calls the boy and scares him very much. The girl was incredibly beautiful and wished Dong-ho good morning. The boy had no choice but to wish good morning in response, and he realized that it was Sung-dae's mother. She just congratulates him on the fact that today is his last day of school. He thanks and asks where Sung-dae is now. The lady says that her child has already left, and she wants to have breakfast with him and asks if our main character is hungry. Rubbing the back of his head, he says that today is a short day and that's why he hasn't had breakfast yet. The girl is not happy with this situation because such a young guy needs to eat well. Suddenly, she says that she urgently needs to leave and will return in a couple of minutes. She brought some soy milk for him and asked him to take it, but for some reason he began to refuse, and she just puts a bottle of milk in his hand and tells him to be sure to drink it on the way to the office. This girl's name is Ajuma, and our hero was simply shocked by the smell of perfume that smelled of lavender. She just looked at him intently and asked him to promise to have breakfast every day before the university. It is very important for her that the guy eats well. He has no choice but to make her a promise. But then the lady remembers another small detail. She asks our main character to come to them after class today because she needs to ask something about Sungji. Our boy was shocked by such a request, but in the end he still agrees. But in his thoughts, he tries to understand what this lady wants to know from him. In parting, she wishes him good luck at school and asks him not to forget about his promise. And only now they explain to us that this woman, Shona Ajuma, is the mother of his classmate named Sunday. During the life of his parents, their families were very good friends, and therefore our hero knew that she was just a great woman, and suddenly the actions were transferred to 2 years ago. Both of their families went on vacation in nature, and this was precisely the time when our main character was truly happy. The boy simply could not take his eyes off the beauty of nature, and also thought that the girl had not been so cheerful for a long time after his parents passed away. This woman was the only one who was always next to our hero and tried to help in every possible way, even in the most terrible moments. She tried to sit next to him as long as possible so that the boy would calm down. Since then, she has continued to take care of our main character and is one of those whom he can truly rely on. She has become like a foster mother for him, but in the present time, Dongo was still late and tried to hurry up, but only a sudden phone call distracted him. After looking at the notifications, he saw that it was the same mother of his friend who asked him to be careful on his way to school. Looking at her profile photo, our hero could not believe that she had already become a mother because she looked too young for her age. He simply answered her and thanked her for the milk. By the way, now is the best time to drink the drink. The boy thought that this was one of the best days in recent times and decided that he needed to quickly turn on his flash speed. Otherwise, he would simply be late for his school. Immediately after our hero arrived at school, he saw his friend Sunday, who was carefree, sleeping on his desk. In his thoughts, the boy called him completely irresponsible because this idiot was sleeping peacefully on the last day of school. We are told a little about him because unlike our main character who is an introvert, this guy plays sports and represents the school in competitions, and he also has a lot of friends. Despite the fact that our hero is a year older than him, he still does not treat him with respect. And in the last year, he decided to stop studying altogether and simply sleeps in class. And even considering that this idiot doesn't pay attention to his studies, he still somehow miraculously managed to enter the same university as our hero. Now there is no time to pay attention to his friend, and our boy decides to understand the situation and understand why that lady invited him to dinner. When he opened her Instagram profile, the boy realized that despite the fact that she was already a mother, she looked like a very young woman. The guy's face changed at that very second. Judging by his reaction, he had never met a girl before. In the next photo, she was already standing next to her husband, and our hero is ready to bet that they often play Monopoly. A picture of a Monopoly playing field and how they are having fun with their family immediately appears in our hero's head. But suddenly, he immediately closes her profile and thinks that it's not right to invade a person's personal life like that. Suddenly, his best friend suddenly wakes up and asks what the hell this idiot is doing here. Our hero immediately tries to quickly throw the phone aside, but he doesn't have time to do this. And the guy asks why the hell his friend is now sitting and looking at their family photos. The guy's face immediately changes because he understands that he is in a far from best situation. Having not heard an answer, the boy begins to get angry and again asks why the hell John Dongo is sitting and looking at their family photos. Our hero just stutters and in his head tries to come up with a plan on how he can get out of this situation. The moment when your best friend catches you doing something like that is not the best. Sungji is clearly not the kind of person who will just let go of a person who shows excessive interest in his family. Just don't tell me that now our hero is stuck in such a stupid situation. But his friend simply asks if he wrote to his mother, and the boy has no choice but to confirm his words. This only made Sungjae angrier, and he asked why the hell he was talking to his mom. Here, the boy decides to put a little pressure on Pity and says that his mother constantly took care of him and even provided him with food because he has no family. He found out that she would not be at the prom, and he wrote to her to find out the reason. He just looks at him suspiciously for a moment and then simply turns and walks away, which surprises our protagonist. But in the end, he thinks that the guy is somehow